Laptop computer spins onto the screen, opens, and displays ATP Education Program webinar series, closes, and then spins off the screen.
Hi, I'm Kelly Key, Assistant Technology Coordinator in Barrington, Illinois. I have been in the field for over 25 years, and I have been a special education teacher, an administrator, and the Assistive Technology Coordinator. And I'm going to share with you today our AAC consideration process and how it's a team approach. So when we need to adapt or select AAC for individual students, we use the SETT process. And this is based off the SETT framework developed by Dr. Joy Zabala. SETT stands for student, environment, tasks, and tools. And I'm going to share with you how we gather information for each of those letters in a bit. But first, when do you use the SETT process? If a core board itself is not meeting a student's individual communication needs, so the student may need more vocabulary, a voice output, or alternative access. This may be for a student that is nonverbal, has verbal skills, but some intelligibility, maybe speaks, but the speech is not functional. For example, the student doesn't maybe go beyond just simple routines, they're scripting, or just say using one word, and they actually have much more potential as far as expressive language. And I always like to make sure to share that it's never too late to introduce AAC. This is a process that we generally do when a student is 3 years old. We'll get to know them, and right away, if we see that a core board is not enough for them and they need something, within the first few weeks of meeting them, we schedule a SETT meeting, and I'll explain more about that. But also we have students that'll move in at 20 years old, unfortunately, from other districts or other states that don't have any functional communication. And so we'll do this process whenever it's needed. I love this visual that Rachel Langley put together. It says, a handy decision-making flowchart. Is this person capable of learning AAC? And it says, are they breathing? If you go to yes, the person is a candidate for AAC. So please keep that in mind. So how this works is parents and the educational team are engaged from the start, again, using the SETT framework. Parents are invited to join us, as well as a school team and outside therapists. So how this starts is the team brings it up that the student needs something either adapted or an alternative device or tool to help support communication. They contact me when we set up a meeting. We do this both in person, and we've also done it virtually, which has been very nice for a lot of parents that are working parents or have a hard time getting to the school. The other nice thing about the virtual piece is that we also invite any outside therapists, anybody else that knows the student that's going to help support their communication. They are all welcome to join us in this meeting. And so we want as many people, as many of the students' communication partners there at this meeting while we gather this information and make this decision together. And the best part about using this framework and having all of these people together is the fact that they are helping to make that decision on the first device that we're going to trial, or they're going to help brainstorm on how to adapt what we're currently using in order to support that student. Because communication partners are engaged from the start, the implementation process is so much more valuable. It's unbelievable how well the students then and the communication partners are involved and engaged from the start, because they were all a part of this process. So back when I first started doing this, we were very low tech. You can see me in action here with chart paper up on the wall, and I gathered information for each letter in SETT, and I wrote it on the big poster paper, and then would type it all up later. Now with technology, things have changed, and we have everything in a Google slide presentation. So you can do this in PowerPoint, Google Slides, you can gather it however it works best for you. But this is an example of exactly what we go through And you're going to see all of the information that we gathered from an actual SETT meeting with a student. This was a student that came into our early learning center at 3 years old. She physically is very ataxic. She has a hard time using a finger point without maybe some visual guides and tactile guides. She's nonverbal, and as far as a yes response, she's very animated with her eyes, but it's definitely something that's still progressing. So you're going to learn a little bit more about Mia as I show you this process that we go through. So I start out by explaining to everybody what a SETT meeting is. And I share that it gathers information about the student from both the home and school perspectives, and it helps guide the team in making collaborative decisions. It enables all the people involved to participate actively. It creates an atmosphere where everyone's thoughts and observations are heard, valued, and respected. And it helps to get everybody on the same page. So like I said, since we approach it all together from the beginning, it's our hope that everybody will be fully invested in following through on the tools and services that we deem appropriate. So again, I shared what SETT stands for: Student, Environment, Tasks, and Tools. So we gather information about the student for each one of these letters. And here is what that looks like. So when we first start out, I always have the student's picture on every page. I think that's really important, that we want to make sure that we're always focusing on the student and bringing it back to that is what we're talking about. And that student is what's most important on our center for all of this. And then the slide is blank with the exception of the picture, the word student, and what I'm going to read right now. Then what I do is I go ahead and I type what everybody just kind of shares. They shout out what the information that they want to share, and I type it on the slides. So I am the facilitator for this. Doesn't matter what your role is, anybody can be the facilitator. So I share, okay, so we're going to start with the first S, and the first S is student. So this is where we're going to gather information about the student. So for example, Mia here. So let's, make sure we know we're on the same page with what her age is, her grade, siblings that she has, any pets, hobbies, motivators. We always want to make sure that we have those things, those high motivating things ready to go, programmed in the devices, because we want to show the power of using this tool right off the bat and make it as fun as possible. Then we also gather information, though, about things that maybe upset the student, strengths, weaknesses, behaviors, any fine motor or gross motor concerns. That's where our occupational therapists and physical therapists are very helpful in that. And if they do have hearing or vision needs as well. So you can see here, this is the information that we gathered about this student, that she really does like to move. She has a great expressive face. She wants to be a part of things. She gravitates towards people. She's very motivated by people. As far as fine motor, she does more of a raking grasp, and which hand she even prefers. And she's starting to isolate her finger point. Things she's really into: loves peekaboo, she loves music, etc. So the next letter is environment. This is where we gather information about environment. Typically, when we're doing an assistive technology consultation for something other than communication, this is where we list the different environments where the student's having a difficult time. But we know in communication that in every environment, we need communication. So here we talk about what the student is currently using to support communication, and then we get updates from home and school. So we talk a little bit about things that they've used currently, things they've used in the past, and pros and cons to those. So she uses her eyes. She uses some vocalizations to start initiating yes. For no, she'll kind of turn away or move her body. She was using some tools for social piece, like a single buttons, to just have a voice output and participate in activities. They were doing some picture exchange with her. And she's starting to discriminate between a couple of people choices when they hold them up when a visual or the actual item. So then the next letter is T, the first T for tasks. And this is where we gather information about specific to communication. What are your priorities when it comes to communicating? What do you want the student to be able to communicate that they are not communicating now? List specific words and phrases and intentions. So for her, it's, social piece, for her to be able to get her wants and needs across, to be able to share discomfort, to be able to request certain things that she wants, or call out people's names. So that is the information we gathered there. And then the last T is tools. And this is where we go over what features that they'd like to see. So again, we're never looking at specific tools. We're looking more at the features of tools to start. We want to gather information about what would you like to see available for her on a communication system? Does it need a voice output? Can it be a static display? Does it need to be dynamic? Do we have to have a smart partner and have it partner assisted? Do you want it to be able to, does a student have spelling capabilities? I would say we always want to make sure that spelling is available on any device regardless. And then even looking at hardware, is the student someone that in the past has had some behaviors, probably due to lack of communication? So what type of case do we want on there? What do we want to make sure is available for them? So this student particularly needed something that had the ability to mount. And we brainstormed switches, but then the team felt it was too many clicks. If it was direct access, it would need to have a grid, the option of partner assisted. And she definitely did better when something had the voice output support, gained her attention, and also with communication partners' attention. So then the next step is for me to then explore options that meet the student's need. We usually take a little break at this point. And I will kind of look at all of this information. I'll gather the some specific tools, whether it's in person, I have them in front of me, or I will pop them into the slides. And then I'll go over some of the different options, and the team will talk about pros and cons of that first tool that we are going to select for the student. And then, of course, adapt and individualize. So one of the options was the TechSpeak 32 by AMDI. This has tech caps. And so it was really nice. It was a nice option for her because she's still having a little bit of trouble isolating her finger. She sometimes can do like a 2 fingers or a hand, but the tech caps will allow for that core vocabulary to stay in the same consistent place and use those core words, but be able to take on and off the tech caps as you're introducing to the student, or having it for a specific activity, that vocabulary, just that vocabulary available for that activity. And then a similar device by Attainment is the GoTalk 32 Express. And again, it has the nice grid for her. It doesn't have the tech caps, but fine motor wise, it's a nice option. It also has some partner assisted built into it, or some scanning, I should say, built into it as well. And then just customizing through different AAC apps to replicate, a core vocabulary board that is more condensed for her. You can see the play was a very highly motivating thing for her. So I quickly put together some of her favorite play items to see if that was an option. And that is a folder you can see. So that goes into more options. The rest are just voice output, static display. And then the last option that I went over was using, using partner assisted communication, somewhat similar to a pod setup. And if you want more information on that, Google Pod and Linda Burkhart. She is absolutely incredible when it comes to pod, as well as partner assisted communication. But this is partner assisted communication. If you look at my next video on adapting core-based AAC systems, you'll actually see a video of this in action and how it works. But basically, this is where a smart partner would walk the student through the different choices. You always offer the choices in the same order. And then the student would respond with their yes response. If they have a no, that's great too. So you walk through and you say, is it a quick word? If they say nothing or say no, you go to the next one. Something was wrong. Is something wrong? They don't say anything, you go to the next one. Are you telling me it's something I want? And then you could press I want. And if they say yes, or they respond that way, you press I want, and then it goes to the I want page, and you do the same thing. Again, there's an example in a future video called Adapting Core-Based AAC Systems. So the team ended up choosing that last option for her for the first thing to trial. And then what we do is I share this personal core vocabulary sheet. We have everybody from the team make sure that they're part of this Google Doc that we have, and they add all of the information about the student, their personal information, all of their favorite items. We just want to make sure that personal core vocabulary is available for them immediately. And again, it's very motivating. So that's a great place to start. So then the next steps are I go ahead and personalize or set up a device for the student. I obtain the hardware if it's hardware, create whatever is needed, and work with the team on personalizing that device. And then the next step is to schedule and hold a training. We try to get that done within another week or so. Again, the trainings are both in person and or virtually, or a combination of both. We want to make sure, again, all communication partners are available and are a part of that training. And then I work in the classroom with the student and the team, which is super fun. And it's really nice for me to get in there and model for the staff on how to utilize it with the student. And then we collect video data and collect log of observations throughout the trial. And then we actually like to meet within a month of the training. We will do an update meeting, again, virtually or in person. And that update meeting, we get updates from home, school, outside providers on how it's going, and then provide additional training and answer questions. When I am giving the training, I did want to share with you what I provide to everybody and what it looks like. So I create a student's individual communication device guide. For each individual student, they have their own device guide. Generally, this goes with their low-tech backup, and the parents have a copy of both the low-tech backup as well as the guide. The school has a copy as well as any outside providers. So we talk about the goals of the meeting. I share the setup and what it looks like. We talk about the vocabulary that was obtained during the tasks portion of the SETT process. I want to make sure they know where that vocabulary is immediately and start feeling comfortable with that. And then, like I said, this particular student was using partner-assisted scanning. So I gave an overview of what that is, what it looks like. I have some videos of the student and of students that are currently using it with the child, as well as videos of students that we have that are proficient users of partner-assisted scanning. We talk about the yes response, and then I go through and I teach them how this works. And it is a hands-on training where we actually do, I actually do have them trial and go into partners and pretend like they're working with the student. Then we talk about, follow up and next steps. So that is how we consider AAC for students, whether it's going to adapt a system for a student or considering something new if a core board is not enough. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. For more information on the ATP Education Program, please visit our website at atp.nebraska.gov/education or email us at atp.education@nebraska.gov.